Welcome back to Jim's Jeeps. Today we're going to see what happens when we turn the key and try and start this 4.2 liter engine. Thanks for joining us today. Alright, so we have everything situated. The throttle body injection system is fully installed, all the sensors, map sensors up there on the firewall. I had to reuse some old plug wires. I for whatever reason, I can't find my other plug wires I had taken off this vehicle in the fall. I'll find them eventually, but I had some old 4.0 liter spark plugs lying, or plug wires lying around. And so I've just used those for right now. Hopefully they still work. I think they do. They look okay. Alternator's installed. Although I think the belt needs a little bit of tightening. We'll see if it squeaks on startup. The new EGR valve is installed. Yes, I'm gonna go ahead and use that. I found an aftermarket one that was not too expensive, and I think that'll keep the heat load on the manifold down by flowing some air through there. The exhaust system, rather, the cast iron piece of the exhaust system will keep it cooler. And fuel systems on. I did turn the key on to get some fresh fuel through the fuel system, and then I primed the fuel system by turning the key on and letting it run, so it ran some fuel through the line. And so that should be fully charged. There's actually a pressure valve built into this pod at the top, this part right here, which controls the fuel pressure to the injectors, which are these two little pods on the front there with the white connectors on the top. And we still have some emission work to do. For now, I've just plugged some of that off so we don't have any air leaks. And so let me go start the key and we'll see what happens. Well, success. She's a runner. It's actually pretty quiet too. I didn't even set the timing yet. We're going to do that now, see where we're at. I think I wanted 8 degrees before top dead center. You see the fuel injectors injecting. Actually running very, very well. I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised, but I'm pleasantly surprised and thankful. Let's see what the timing's set to. So I've got the timing light set up here, and we want to set the degrees to 8, and then what that offset allows us to do, that offset allows us to set the timing marks on the pulley to the 0 mark, and then we'll know it's 8 degrees exactly, instead of worrying about the scale on the pulley itself. And actually the RPMs are looking real good as well. I think around 750 is the target we want, and it looks like we're hovering around 755, 765 or so. So that's perfect, that's right on. Now I will say, I'm not going to get into the fuel injection setup, but this was already configured. The throttle position sensor has everything to do with that, and the way you set the throttle body up and everything. We'll talk about that another time. But yeah, if your idle's too high, your throttle position sensor is probably not registering properly with the computer, or you have a vacuum leak somewhere. So let's see what she's doing here on the timing marks.
And I'm not sure that's going to pick up on the camera, but we are sitting just at about zero. Just at about zero.
So we're perfect. All right, I want to give you a little picture of what the dash is looking like. We have the assembly line data link connector installed, and so the ECU is going to keep the RPMs up around 1,000. The rest of the dash gauges are working. I got to fix the clock. I'm not sure what happened to the clock. Everything's looking right on. And I've got my laptop hooked up to the ECU of the computer. Let's see if we can get a better view of this. I'm using Tuner Pro RT. It's a great piece of software. Not just for Jeeps or anything, almost any car you can plug in with various adapters, or even a Bluetooth adapter. You can hook up your car and see what's going on inside the ECU. Highly recommend it. It's great, great piece of software, and it's free. You don't have to buy the license for it. So that's another cool thing about it. I did actually buy the license for mine because I did like it so much. If you don't buy the license, I think you have to wait like 10 seconds when it starts up or something like that to actually get into the software. But it's fully functional, 100% fully functional. But it's pretty cool. It gives you a virtual dash of what's going on inside the ECU. We see the engine temperatures coming up to temp around, should hit around 210. It's got a 210 degree thermostat in it. It shows you what the idle air controller is doing. It's 48 steps right now, and that'll go up and down depending on what it wants to do. Throttle position sensor, it's right around 0.5 volts, which is at idle. That's what you want it to be. Again, engine speed, top left, 1,000 RPM, or it's holding about 1,000 RPM. And I have battery voltage up because I think my battery's sat around so long, it's kind of weak now. It's not doing as well as I'd like it to. So that's that. Nice piece of software, a great way to check on what's going on inside the older ODB1 type of a computer, and this works real well. And it's a lot better than even an ODB1 reader if you could find one. So this is idling a little fast. It's 1,000 RPM. It's because I have the data link connected inside the cab. It's running great. I have about 50 miles on it now. I drove it around this past weekend a little bit, doing the engine break-in, and she's purring like a kitten, real nice. I did have one coolant leak on the lower radiator hose. Oh, it's not leaking anymore, but it was down there. And I was just in a hurry. I guess I forgot to tighten the clamp all the way. It was on kind of sort of tight, but not all the way. And so the hose wasn't going to blow off under pressure or anything, but it was definitely leaking coolant out there when it got to pressure. So the system rolls around 12 pounds or so. The cap release is 13 pounds. So anyway, this is the Performance Fuel Injection System, PFIS, I guess, system with the GM 4.3 throttle body, and got the HEI spark control cap, and it just runs great. Here's the data link connector. Actually, I have it connected right now to the laptop. I'm gonna actually mount this connector, the thing with the 2 holes in it. This larger plug will unplug. I think I'm gonna mount it under the dash up here somewhere. It's similar to an ODB2 connector, but definitely a much earlier kind of a thing. So it's not as fancy, and certainly you can't plug a modern day ODB2 reader into it. But it basically is a data link up into the ECM, which is behind the glove box here. So this is the last of the 1989 Jeep YJ powertrain videos. Thanks for hanging around and watching as we got the engine back in the Jeep. Super happy with the fuel injection system. It's working beautifully. The engine sounds great. No issues. We'll be changing the oil since we just did the first 50 miles. Break-in procedures. You know, is there any leftover crap that's in there from the engine rebuilding process or whatnot? We'll get rid of that. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining Jim's Jeeps today. See you on the next video.